So in previous videos, we've talked about setting up permanent file servers using Samba or NFS, and then we've also talked about copying files real quickly without setting up a file server using rsync and SCP. But there might be an instance where you want to do maybe a temporary connection. So I want to move some files over. I don't want to set up a permanent file server. I just want to move some files over temporarily, do a few things, or move them over permanently, but I only want a temporary connection. And then I want to break that connection, not have to worry about it again. But I might not want to do them one at a time using rsync or SCP. Is there a middle road? Actually, there is. And it is with Sshfs, which is another aspect or another component of that open SSH server. So I'm going to install the SSHFS. So it's sudo apt install SSHFS. And this will do the install for me real quick. Hopefully real quick. There we go. Now I want to create a connection to my remote system. So here's how I'm going to do that. It's going to be SSHFS. So I want to connect to David at, and then I'm going to specify, actually, hold on. I need a mount point before I do this. So I'm going to LSL from my /MNT folder. And I'm going to look at the remote and I'm going to make sure there's nothing there. Okay, perfect. There's nothing there. Now, I want to copy some files that I have here, LSL. I want to copy those to here. So you see my folder there, copies, LSL copies. And it should be empty. And so that's where I want these files to go. So here's what I'm going to do. SSHFS, and I want to mount David at, and I'm going to put the IP address of the remote system. And again, if I had name resolution set up, I could use that. But since I don't, 134.39.161.99, and I want to mount /home/David/copies. And I want to mount that to /MNT/remote. Okay, sudo, sudo to do that. So the sudo exclamation says, repeat the previous command using sudo. So I want to establish authenticity using a fingerprint. This, and I haven't done this before, obviously, I just installed the software, so it's wanting to fingerprint that remote system. This is the same thing we were talking about in a previous video that rsync will do. So it's just going to ask you, are you sure you want to do this? I'm going to say yes, and then go ahead and log in. Okay, now I should be set. So I want to copy these files, and it's file 1234.txt. So I'm going to cp *.txt to /mount/remote, which is where my mount point should be. So override that and copy those files. So now if I look at /mount/remote, oh my gosh, I'm just going to switch to root user because I'm tired of typing sudo. Mount remote, there are my files, and more importantly, if I come over here, go to my copies folder, actually I can just do an LSL copies, and there are my files. All right, so what we've done is we've used SSHFS to remotely create a temporary share and mount point on a remote system. Now, SSHFS is great for little projects like this. I want to create a mount point. I want to copy some files over. I want to copy files from whatever. I want to move some data around, but this is not a good solution for a permanent file sharing system. So if you want to do a permanent file server, then you're looking at Samba or NFS. If you're looking at doing real quick copies, so we can use a real quick transfer of files from one system to another, we can use rsync or SCP. If I want something that's kind of like a middle ground that I can use for a little while, but it's not going to be permanent, then something like SSHFS works really, really nicely. Now, one thing to be aware of, it does not have the same level of protection against data corruption. What I mean by that is SSHFS is not designed to maintain a long-term connection, so it may drop on you. So if you connect and you're editing the file remotely, which you can do, right? So I can go to the right system here, /mnt/remote. And from here, I want to nano file one.txt. And this is where this really becomes beneficial. This is a change made on the remote system over an SSHFS connection. Oops. Control O to write out. Control X to exit. Okay. Cat file one.txt, see the changes. Okay, so this is where SSHFS really becomes beneficial over something like SCP or rsync, because not only can I copy files back and forth, I can go in, treat it as a SharePoint, go in and work with those files and explore and move around and do whatever I want. So really, really beneficial, but remember that it may drop on you. So if you're doing long-term editing, you're working in a document for a couple of hours, there might be a chance that it would drop on you. So that's just something you need to be aware of with SSHFS. Okay, there we go. Several different ways in the past few videos of creating file servers, transferring files, and working on file systems remotely.